What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Parasitic Ejaculation, entitled Echoes of Depravity. This is released on Amputated Vein Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Santa Cruz, California, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very technical, slam-orientated, and gore-ridden style of brutal death metal. 2013 saw their debut full-length entitled Rationing the Sacred Human Remains. And that album was a perfect example of never judging a book by its cover. Because beneath the gory name, the gory artwork, and overall ideas lied probably one of the best debut albums to come out from a brutal death metal band in quite some time. And pretty much, I considered them to be a breakout band in 2013, because I was so impressed and so mesmerized by their sound. They had a very simple formula, but yet they made it so fresh and interesting to listen to. I really like it when brutal death metal bands decide to take that big next step and try to do something different. And I believe Parasitic Ejaculation did that with Rationing the Sacred Human Remains. I mean, this band has been working very, very hard for quite a good while now. They put out a really awesome EP in 2012 called Sickening Conduct, which I thought was just awesome. And then, of course, leading up to the debut, which I still think is probably one of the most entertaining brutal death metal debuts in quite a long while. And of course, earlier in the year, I got to see them live for the first time at Building Temples from Deathfest, and they can definitely back up what they do on record live. They are a very energetic and very entertaining live band. And of course, once I found out that there was going to be some brand new material from this band in the works, I was very excited. I was really looking forward to hearing what kind of ideas and thoughts they were going to bring for this second go-around. And of course, getting to hear some of that brand new material live for their set at Building Temples from Deathfest was just very promising. So now here we are with the sophomoric effort from Parasitic Ejaculation entitled Echoes of Depravity. It's 12 tracks, and it clocks in at around 35 minutes in length. And this is a much lengthier album than the previous release, but aside from this being a much longer album, you can definitely tell that there are quite a few big changes to be noticed here when listening to this album. One of the first things I notice is the fact that this album has a much more well-rounded and cleaner production style. I would say this is a brutal death metal band that definitely owes itself to have a very clean and crystal presentation. And I think that this band definitely pulls it off quite well with this production style. It doesn't seem clean to the point where it's overly distracting, but yet I definitely think it brings out the absolute best in this overall album, and it really makes for something completely special. Another thing to point out is the fact that the songwriting seems to be a little bit more tight-knit this time around. I mean, when you first hear the opening riffs of Corporeal Nightmares, I just think it really sounds so amazing. I mean, the guitar playing is just so on point. I really love the riff work. I love the technicality. That's what I loved about the first album, Rationing the Sacred Human Remains, is the fact that they incorporated such really wild and woolly guitar riffs, and incorporating it not only for some crazy riffs, but some awesome pit riff-orientated slam parts. I just find that to be so awesome. And here on Echoes of Depravity, I think they definitely delve deeper into into those kind of ideas. Not only with the heavy technical riffs, but also the punishing slam breakdowns. I just think they sound so awesome. I mean, you hear it on tracks like Euphoric Anguish and Nauseating Convergence of Seepage. I think the guitar playing on those particular tracks are so awesome. I really love what's going on with those particular tracks, and I definitely think it makes for something incredibly awesome to listen to. Bass-wise, I think the bass tone is incredibly solid here. Lots of emphasis on bass drops to be heard this time around. I definitely would recommend listening to this album on a good stereo system or with some good headphones. You're going to hear plenty of bass drops, and they are perfectly timed at that. They don't show up unexpectedly, and they don't give you a bad taste in your mouth or taste in your ears, whatever you want to, whatever description you want to use. It doesn't rub you the wrong way. It feels appropriate for this album, and I think the bass drops are really awesome. In addition to the little bass diddling going on in certain aspects of the tracks, I think it's a very well mixed and well performed bass tone. I love how it sounds here. Moving on to the drums, I really enjoy the craziness of the drums on the last album, and here on Echoes of Depravity, I just think it continues on in that sort of same variety, but a little bit more depth and cleanliness to it, especially when it comes to the snare tone. I love a good loud snare tone on a brutal death metal release, and I think here the drums are very well showcased. I love the fast double bass, I love the blasting, I love just the swift kicks, the snare, the tom blasts, just a lot of great movement and syncopation within the drums here. I find it to be very entertaining and definitely something to keep the listener moving and nodding their head, even to when it comes to the more slower, slam-orientated moments. I think it's really amazing that this guy handles the drums so very well. I mean, he was a blast to see live at Building Temples from Deathfest, and getting to hear him on this new record just really, really sounds phenomenal. A very awesome job well done here. And moving on to the vocals, much more vocal variety this time around. I think this guy has a really awesome vocal delivery to him. He can do pretty much whatever he wants to do. He can do very low septic tank, toilet bowl, guttural vocals, and he can be very creative and deliver some really unique mids and highs. He's got a really awesome delivery. He even has somewhat of a raspy, throaty, hoarse sort of delivery in delivering some certain vocals and lines. I just think he does an amazing job here this time around. It definitely makes for something much more entertaining. I'm forgetting off the top of my head who does some guest appearance work here, but I believe the vocalist of Short Bus Pileup appears on one particular track. I'm forgetting which track it is in specifically, but I'll annotate you to that if I happen to forget it here. But and there's one other guest appearance that's coming to the top of my head, but I'm forgetting that as well, so I apologize for that. But there's some guest work on here, and I think the two guest spots that are on here sound really awesome. So overall, I think Parasitic Ejaculation continue to prove why they are becoming a much more domineering force in the worlds of brutal death metal and death metal period. I was very impressed by their debut, and Echoes of Depravity continues to showcase the impressive ideas that are being set forth here for this band. They have a good work ethic, they have a good idea, a good style, a good sense of technicality, and they just deliver a very awesome sophomore effort. So if you are a fan of the first album, or if you're a fan of their previous EP, Echoes of Depravity is incredible. It is an incredible piece of brutal death metal, and I look forward to owning this when it does come out. So, if I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Corporeal Nightmares, Ritualistic Disembowelment, Inhuman Laceration, Parasitic Spinal Mutation, and the closing track, Visceral Transcendence. I think it's really awesome. So I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will link you to the Amputated Vein Bandcamp page, where you can stream one of the tracks. I believe it's Parasitic Spinal Mutation. You can stream it there right now, and you can pre-order it digitally through Amputated Vein. I will also link you to the Parasitic Ejaculation web store, where you can pre-order this album directly through the band. I believe there will be pre-order bundles, and this will be out sometime in the month of November, and in 2015, this album will get a much wider distribution through different retailers. So I am looking forward to this album coming out, and I think you should be too. So again, the album is Echoes of Depravity by Parasitic Ejaculation. This is released on Amputated Vein Records. Definitely support this, and I'm going to give this a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Really incredible brutal death metal, great production, great ideas, awesome songwriting. Support Parasitic Ejaculation. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Check out my channel, and until the next time. Remiho out.